Pour-over is a fantastic way to make great coffee at home, and the newly introduced Hikaru from Hiroia might be exactly what your home setup needs to reach new levels of convenience and consistency. But can it deliver where automated pour-over systems have fallen short in the past? Let's find out. Now, quickly before we get going, I do want to mention that this pre-production unit was sent to me by Hiroia for the sake of this review and some pre-launch input. However, as always, that will have zero impact on the contents of this video or the opinions I express in it. If you do want to check out this machine, I'll have it linked right down in the description below. First of all, I think it's important to give a little bit of background on who is making this machine, because it is not just some other Kickstarter startup. This machine is being produced by Hiroia, which is a branch of Hario. Yes, that Hario, the ones who created the V60 back in 1921. The Hiroia brand is dedicated to pushing the limits of commercial and consumer brewing gear, with other products like the Jimmy Scale and the widely used Samantha commercial pour-over system. The Hikaru is their attempt to bring the learnings in brewing technology from Samantha into the home and to an audience outside of the commercial world. So, with that added bit of context, let's start off the review, as we always do, with the build quality and design. Overall build quality feels very solid for the price point. Despite all of the external surfaces being made of plastic, at no point did I find it feeling cheap or fragile. Would I have appreciated maybe a metal or wood accent somewhere? Yes, but not at the cost of a significant price increase. The water tank is made of Triton, which looks nice, is durable, and most importantly, is safe for high temperature use. The included glass V60 and carafe are also very, very nice, which is important because you interact with them every time you brew. The Hikaru is also definitely not lacking in the design and overall flair department. Love it or hate it, we've never seen a brewer that looks anything like this in the studio, or anywhere for that matter. The brewing arm on the Hikaru does not stop over the brewing cone, but instead continues all the way around to complete a full circle. This allows the inbuilt LEDs to create some pretty eye-catching indications when sitting idle, heating up, and while brewing. If there was ever going to be a machine that would look right at home in a Blade Runner movie, this would probably be it. Now, if I had to nitpick this design, it would have to be the overall footprint that the Hikaru takes up on your countertop. Going with this full circle design looks cool, but it does take up a significant amount of horizontal real estate. Most kitchen appliances tend to err on the side of being too deep versus being too wide, and this is decidedly the opposite. Which brings us to the user experience. Using the Hikaru is a very straightforward experience. You turn it on, put your brewer underneath, select your drink recipe, and hit go. The machine then uses a built-in scale in the water reservoir and 5 water outlets to replicate the pouring recipe you selected. Using a scale in the water reservoir is a pretty clever way to monitor output and results in very accurate brew ratios that can often not be achieved on systems attempting to use flow meters instead. The one downside I encountered is that the scale is also used to monitor the water level in the tank. Now, generally this is a good thing as it ensures you have enough water to complete the brew before you hit start, but the problem is that the water level gauge is very difficult to read, so I often found myself under or overfilling the tank. And if you do overfill, you need to use the built-in drain mode or simply scoop some out before you can start heating. In the end, this is a relatively small quirk that I did get used to, but could have easily been avoided by either a light for the viewing window or even just an internal max fill line. Other small complaints I had right out of the box was that it makes sounds similar to a Samsung washing machine, but those can be turned off in the app. Also, the fact that the power button is a long press, where I generally prefer a quick push or just a double tap. Other than those relatively small quirks, the Hikaru is honestly the exact type of device I think a lot of people have been asking for. There's no integrated grinder, there's no proprietary pods, and there's no other gimmicks. It's just a well-made, well-integrated, consistent automatic pour-over system that offers, but doesn't require, some serious brewing customization for those who want it. Now, water distribution is handled by 5 water nozzles that are completely stationary. Instead of using varying rotation speeds or patterns to increase agitation and coverage, the Hikaru uses technology carried over from their existing commercial machines like the Samantha. The water doesn't only naturally fall from the spouts, but instead can actually be forced through the nozzle with some pretty good pressure. Although it might seem unorthodox, basic center pouring recipes have had lots of success, including winning the World Brewers Cup Championship. Watching this brewer work, you see how the jets of water can either deeply agitate the coffee bed, or simply add water without disturbing the grounds, depending on the flow rate programmed in. From stock, the machine comes programmed with a 1:16 brew ratio for 18, 27, and 36 gram doses respectively. And I found these recipes to work really well, often better than what I was able to set up for myself on the 4th custom profile. Easily reaching up into the 19 to 20% extraction range, cups were pretty impressive and something I'd be absolutely happy drinking each morning, especially if I'm in a rush and can't stand for 3 minutes to make a pour over manually. What I like even more is that this machine can function completely offline without the need for any apps or connections to get brewing great coffee, which you know is a major plus in my books. However, if you're the type who wants to play around, you can connect via Bluetooth to change the settings on either the default profiles based on the roast level of coffee you're using, or even set up an entirely custom recipe on your own, down to each individual pour, each individual flow rate, and bloom time. Hiroia are also teasing a feature where you'll be able to scan a QR code off a bag of coffee and have the machine replicate the same recipe as created in the roaster or cafe it comes from. Something reminiscent of the whole X-Bloom concept we looked at earlier this year, but without the limitations of only being able to purchase proprietary pods. Also, it's not just roasters who can take advantage of this. Whenever you create a custom recipe, you have the option to see and share the corresponding QR code. This seems like a bit of a no-brainer implementation of this whole recipe sharing concept, and coming from a brand with as large of a reach as Hiroia, it might just catch on. Of course, success of a feature like this largely depends on how many roasters are willing to participate, so I certainly wouldn't buy this system with any kind of expectations about that particular functionality. Overall, I think this is a really well executed product, which shows from the fact that I have been using it multiple times per day since receiving it, and that I am genuinely bummed to see it get passed on to the next reviewer. I was impressed by just how simple and effective the workflow is at making above average cups of coffee, and it's just really neat to see big companies like Hario and Hiroia taking their commercial learnings and bringing them into the home setting with a pretty daring design to boot. For the asking price, I think you get your money back in the technology and time savings that the Hikaru offers, and that's at MSRP. At the Kickstarter price, it's an absolute steal in my books, but obviously that's only available for a limited time. Again, if you want to check out the Hikaru, I will have it linked right down in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and even consider subscribing if you want to see some more like it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.